I was raised by a mother who often was a single mom, and who struggled with that responsibility. But never once did she ever make it seem like she couldn't accomplish everything she wanted to accomplish. Growing up, I was actually never told about the Bible, really. I knew of the Bible. I knew of God and Jesus. And I always felt Jesus. There was a lot of things growing up that weren't healthy, weren't good. And I always knew I wasn't alone. But I didn't know, other than it was God, that was, who was with me. And when I was 14 at school, they had those military tables where those people are there like, don't you want to join the military? Here's a pen. And I went up to them, and it sounded so interesting. The Army was called to me, and I just kind of knew from 14 years old that I wanted to join the military. But, being first generation American on my dad's side, and being the first people to graduate high school in my family, going to college was a big thing. So it was a big deal to kind of go. But we didn't have, the money to go to big college. So I started going to community college. But I was horrible at school. I failed. And it was also kind of like, strict Cuban family, the youngest, the girl. Heck no, you're not going to the military. I enlisted, and I didn't tell them for 2 months after that. And it was a big thing in our family. Like, you don't disrespect your parents in a Cuban household. You don't not do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. So it was really tense in my family. And then finally we had a family forum, which is what we call when we all gather together and have like an open floor discussion on whatever was happening in the family and whatever was causing stress. And I was like, well, guys, I joined the military. Making that choice later on for myself as an adult was the best gift I could have ever given myself, to know that I was following Christ, and that I was doing it in a moment where I didn't know where my future was going, or, what my safety was going to look like, or, there was nobody around me that I knew, but I had God. And I knew that I couldn't do anything that I was going to be doing in the future without Him. And I had to put all my faith in Him. And that's when I got baptized in the military. I love helping people. I'm a yes person because I just want to help people. Now, I might get annoyed later on that I've said yes so many times, but I also know that that's something that feeds me, is helping people. It makes me happy. That's why I love my job, because I really do love being that person that makes people better or helps people through the toughest times in their life or their family members. ICU is almost 50% taking care of the patient and 50% taking care of the families. And a lot of it is just ministering to them. I've told all my fellow nurses, I'm like, we're in a deployment right now. Like, reminds me so much of being in deployment, where we can't see family, friends and family. You're isolated. As nurses, we could die. We're exposing ourselves like crazy. We don't have enough resources, and nobody knows what the heck is going on. It's a deployment. So it felt very familiar to me. I kind of went right back into that military mindset. But that's not what everybody else was expecting out of their life. They didn't anticipate that that's what was going to happen to them. They didn't sign up for it like I signed up for the military and that experience. I struggled with empathizing with other people and the unexpectedness that they were having to deal with. Because I struggled with negativity. I struggled with trying to connect with my coworkers when they probably wanted to connect the most. And there were times where I actually had to take a break and for lunch and go downstairs to the chapel at my hospital, because it's a Catholic-based hospital. I'd go down in the chapel and pray that I would be open, and pray that I could help, and pray that I would be able to be a light for people. We can try to be too strong. And that's not for us to do. We don't have to be strong like that. And I think that some people confuse being a strong woman with being isolated or with being, not accepting help or having the ability to be empathetic to others, but also to yourself. You should be strong. You should have conviction in the things that you believe in and conviction in your worth. But it's also important to have empathy for yourselves. Sometimes if you can't love yourself, it's harder to love others. And to take time to do self-care. I'm such a fan of massages and face masks and taking time for yourself and music and driving with the windows down and recognizing that they're worthy of that love, because you are loved by God. You are loved. I'm Karina, and this is my impact story.